Okay, welcome back guys. So this is another tutorial and another video that I'm going to share with you on how you are going to create localization in your Laravel 11 project. And the most important thing on this project, I'm going to show you how you are going to persist your user language preferences in either cookies or databases. So that is the most important thing that I'm going to share with you guys, because to change the localization in a project is a simple thing, but knowing how and knowing the best practices of persisting your Laravel 11 localization, that is another thing. So the aim of this tutorial is to show you how you are going to create a robust Laravel 11 localized application so that it can support more than one language. And if you are, let's say you are creating an application that is targeting more than one nature of people, like people speak different languages. Let's say people speak English, some of them speak Spanish, some of them speak Swahili maybe. You can be able to create a Laravel 11 project that can be usable to both of the users, meaning that the user that speaks Swahili can use your application and can interact with it by seeing the application in a language that supports or even in a language that he can understand. So that is a big thing that we need to do today. So stick with me guys and let's dive on this video, and I'm sure you will be able at the end of this video to create your own Laravel 11 project that can be able to have multiple languages that your users specifically. So thank you guys for joining me. So now let's go direct to the coding session. But I would like to welcome you guys. For those who have not subscribed to my channel, consider to subscribe, like my videos, share with your friends, share with your family, and that is the way that you can support me. So welcome guys. So let's start by first task here. As you can see, the first task is to set up our Laravel 11 project, and I'm going to show you how to create this project. So let's go dive quickly. So this is my XAMPP htdocs, simply because I'm using XAMPP. So I'm going to create in my project right here. So let me go to my Git bash. I'll say Laravel new, then I'll say Laravel 11 localization. So this will start to create a project. So basically I'll say I'll use Breeze and I'll use Blade. No. Then I'll say yes. So I'll pause my video simply because the Laravel 11 project is being created. So I'll pause the video. When it will be finished up, we'll continue with our video. So let's wait for that one. Okay, so as you can see, it will ask you for which database you are going to use. So I would say I'm going to use MySQL, and then I would say yes. So it can create the database. So I wait for Breeze to be installed. Okay, so as you can see, the project is created successful. So I'll just close this one and then open my application in my VS Code. So let me open it in VS Code. Now this is our Laravel 11 project that we have created. So the first thing that we need to do, that we need to look at, is this one. Let me show you on Laravel 11 documentation. Let's go for localization. Okay, So by default, the Laravel 11 skeleton does not include the language directory. So when you come here, you will not see the language directory. So for you to be able to see the language directory and to be able to add your let's say multiple languages in your application, you need to be able to publish the language files. So to do that, and this is just the structure of your application that it will look like when you create different languages. So to do that, we are going to see on how to publish these languages. So let's copy that command, and then let's go to our project, then terminal. Then I'm going to run my command here. So php artisan lang, then publish. Then now you can see there is new directory called lang, and inside it you can see there is a directory called en, standing for English, and then you can see there's different languages for authentication, for pagination, password, and validation. And what we are going to do, I'm going to create a new file here. So let me just let's say close this one. As you can see, these are the translations for validation, as you can see. So these are for English. Okay, that's cool. So what we need to do, in our English directory, we can create a new file and we call it, let's say, messages.php. Okay, and then what we are going to do next, in this file we are going to return an array. So I'm going to, okay, I forgot to open PHP here, and then I'm going to close it down here. But basically, if the file contains only PHP, no need to close it. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to return an array. So let's return an array here, and then inside this array you need to define the key and its value. So this is let's say we call it associative array. So I'll just create, let's say, a welcome message. So let's say welcome, then its value will be welcome. Let's say I'll start with capital letter here, but let me expand a little bit so that you can see, guys. Yep, so that is how we are going to create these files. So this is for English, okay, and then I'm going to create another directory inside the lang directory. So this I'll call it let's say Swahili. I'll keep it SW, and then inside it I'm going to create a new file, and I'll name it as messages, as we created it for English. And then I'm going to copy this one and paste it here. So then on the welcome key, but its value in Swahili will change. So this one will be karibu. Okay, so this is for Swahili. And also you can create another language. Let's say you want to create another language for, let's say, French. So for French, this one will be the best way to do it. Then we are going to say messages.php. Okay, and then we are going to say welcome. Then in French, let me see the translation for that one, because I'm not a French speaker. So let me just say translator. So let me go to Google Translation. Okay, so here I'll say welcome, and then this should be French. Okay, so in French, this is called this one. I don't know even to spell that one. So yeah, so let me just use it in my application here. Okay, so that's all on creating the language files. So if you go here, you will see we've created the Laravel 11 project, and we have been able to publish the files. So what we need to do next, we need to create a middleware for controlling our localization. So to do that, let's go to our terminal here in our project. Let me clear the terminal. Okay, so let me close these files, and then we need to create the middleware. So php @make middleware, and then we are going to call it set locale. Okay, let's say set locale, and then this will be created in your directory here. If you go to app http, then in middleware, you will find your middleware here. So in our middleware here, what we need to do, we need to let's say set our applications language specific. So for the user to be able to get the language for specific of its, or let's say specific language, what we need to do, okay, so why do we need the middleware here? That is the question that you need to ask yourself. So basically, we need the middleware here because the middleware will be able to intercept every request or that your user will make on your application, and then it will apply the appropriate language before processing it. Means that whenever your user visits any resource on your application, the middleware will be able to understand that this user has which specific language that he or she uses. So it will create the request and return the response with the specific language that user is required to be, or that user is expected to see it. So that is the purpose of middleware. So without wasting any time, let's go direct and start to implement the middleware by applying the logic for setting up language. But basically, as I've mentioned before, here we have two ways to persist the Laravel 11 localization. So I'll go direct by starting with the first approach, which is storing or persisting your languages in cookies. So let's go to our middleware and store user language or local on cookies. So I started by creating the variable called the locale. So let's go to locale, and then in our request, I'm going to store it in a cookie. Okay, and here I'll say app locale will be let's say from config directory we'll fetch the app locale. So if you go to your configuration file, if you go to configuration, then app, then if you scroll down, you will see your different, let's say your default locale of your application, it's EN, which is stand for English. So you can see the application will be able to determine the locale of your application or the language for your users by using this one. So here what we do, we were trying to get the app locale from user request. So if you user, let's say, set the language to Swahili, meaning that we are going to get that value from the cookie that we have stored in this key, which is called the app locale. So if this cookie is empty, what we are going to do, we are going to create the default or the fallback language that we are going to fetch it from the app configuration. meaning that we are going to the default one here. So whenever this cookie will be empty, meaning that the language that is going to be used is the English as the default language. But if this one is not empty, then we will get that locale here. And what we are going to do next, we are going to set that locale using this helper function, and then we are going to set the locale using this function. Then we are going to pass the locale variable here, meaning that we are going to set the value that we have here, either this one or the default one. So let me just import this one. As you can see, I've imported this one. This is important. Make sure that you import this one in your application. So after doing so, this is the first approach, remember. Then next we are going to see how to do that one. So what we need to do next, we need to actually, we've generated the middleware, we've implemented the logic. The next thing, we need to register the middleware in our bootstrap directory. So let's go to our bootstrap, then app.php here, and then in our middleware section, let's say middleware, then aliases, then we are going to pass our middleware here in an array. So I'm going to say locale middleware, and then I'm going to call it set locale middleware, which is this one, and make sure you imported it like this way. And then we are going to say this one, because it's a class. So this is how you register your middleware. As you can see, we have registered the middleware. So the next thing is to create the controller for changing the language, so that the user can be able to change the language. As basically, for now, if we run this application, so PHP add some save. So the application is running. Let's open it. Now you can see the application is running successfully. So let's register a simple user and let's log in. Okay. Okay, so now you can see the user is logged in. So now here we need to show the message that we have created. So we can just say welcome here, and we'll make it different concerning with different languages. So here I'm going to change this one, and also this one, both of them to be using different languages. So to do that, let's go first in languages. So let's start with the English one. We need to add the one for dashboard. I'm going to add this here, dashboard, and then for English, this will remain to be dashboard. Okay, and then we have the one for, let's say we have this one and this one. So this will use the same, and this one will be another one. This one will be for welcome. So I think that one is enough. Let's add this one to other language files. So let me go to French, then I'm going to add it here. So dashboard in French. Let's go and see the translation for that one. So this one will be this one. So let me copy that one and then paste it here. And then for Swahili, basically, let's say Swahili. Okay, this one will be dashboard. Okay, so let's go and add it to the Swahili. Okay. Okay, so this one will be dashboard. that way. Okay, so as you can see, now we have these different keys and their values in different languages. So let me just copy this one and also this one and also this one. We're done with that one. So now what we need to do in order for our application to change these languages according to the language that we have set. So let's just start by changing this one. So let's say for changing this one to use the language key. So let's go to the resources, views, and then the dashboard one. Now you can see this one is say you are logged in. So now let's change this one to one of the messages. So we are going to call it messages dot, then we specify the key that we are going to use. So the key that we are going to use is this one. So let's copy that one and paste it here. Okay, so now if we pasted that one here, what is going to happen if you go back to your application and refresh? Now you can see this will say welcome, simply because the default language now is English. So let's go and change the default language. Let's say go to env file, okay, and then here the locale, let's change it to Swahili. And then if we go back to application and refresh, now you can see the language has been changed to Swahili. So you can see this is how this will work out. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do, I'm going to show you how to, let's say, show the name of the user here, pass it as a parameter to the text. But before that one, I want the user to be able to change the languages here. So for user to be able to do that, let's start by creating the controller. As I've said before, we need to have the controller for users to be able to change the languages. So to do that, let's go direct. Let me change this one to English as a default one, and then let's go to terminal. Let me open another terminal here, and then I'm going to create a new controller. So I'll say php @ make controller. Then I'm going to call it language controller. Okay, so this will be created, and then we are going to see how to use it. Let's go to app http controllers, then language controller. Okay, let me just split that one, or even pause that one, because we need more space for you guys to see what I'm doing. Okay, then the next thing, we need to add the function to set up our language. So if you come here, this one is done. So we need to add the method to set the locale and save it in a cookie. So because this is the first approach basically, so we need to have the way to change that one and set it to the cookie. So let's create a public function, and then I'll call it switch locale. And then this one will accept the request, and then also will accept the locale parameter. So in here we are going to have a simple validation here, because we have 3 languages. So we will check if the locale that the user has switched to, if exist in our locales. So this is the simplest way that I'm going to use, but you can persist these details in your database, and then you can be able to validate them here. So for the simplicity, because I have 3 languages, it becomes easy for me to validate using an array, simply an array. So I'll just say like this way, and also Swahili. So I'll check it that way, and then I'll say, so this will do the following. We will check if the language that your user has switched to exists in this language that you have specified here. So if the user, let's say, changed from English to French, this one will be true, and then when it will be true, then the block right here will run. But if user change the language from English, let's say, to Spanish, and Spanish is not defined here, meaning that this block will not run. If it will not run, what will happen? We need to redirect our user. So redirect, return, redirect. Then we'll direct our user back to the page that they were from. So that is the simplest way you can do it. But if it running, this one will be true, what we are going to do next, we are going to return and redirect our user to the previous page. But what we'll do, we'll just add with cookie, okay, and then inside our cookie we are going to pass the cookie here and set the key that we have used it in the middleware, so it will be app locale, and then we are going to set it with our new locale variable that we passed it here as a parameter. So then what we need to do next, we need to specify the lifespan of our cookie. Okay, so here you can just specify the lifespan of your cookie. If you hover here, you can see the cookie, you can define the minutes, path, domain, secure, and something like that. So what we need to do, we need to specify here the lifespan of your cookie. So for me, I just use this one. Meaning that this will, the lifespan of this cookie will be 30 days, okay? So this is simply a simple calculation. So you guys, you can see this is minutes, and then you multiply it by 24 hours, and then you multiply by days. So meaning that this will be 30 days. So let's go here, and this is how we have set our application locale. And then the next thing is to define the route that is going to help us or help our user to be able to define or to change their languages. So to do that, let's go to our routes, then web, then I'm going to close that one, and then here I'm going to create a new route, okay, which will be simply just a get route, and then I'm going to say it will be called the switch, okay, and then we will need to pass the parameter that is called locale here, and then it will be going to our locale, the language controller, which is this one, and then we are going to specify the function here that it is going to look on. So let me just specify the name, which will be language switch, or let's say switch language. Let me terminate that one, and then in our middleware, controller, we need to use this function. So I'll just specify it here, okay. And then the next thing, we need to go in our dashboard. If you can see in our dashboard, we have the layout, and then in this layout, as you can see here, in this layout, we need to add here the drop down. So I'll just use this drop down. I'll just use this drop down here to specify the languages that we have in our application. So let's go direct to the navigation, simply because that's where the drop down or the navigation is found. So let's go to our navigation, and then now you can see here we have this route, which is so coming to our navigation here, which is this one, as I've shown you before. What we need to do, we need to find a way to add the drop down here. So I'll just squeeze this one, and then I'll go to preline UI for simplicity and to make this simple. So I'm going to use one of the preline UI drop down. So let me just go here. Let me just go to documentation. And let's wait for, let's check for, let's say drop down. Okay. Yeah, so I think let's use this one. So let me just copy that one. And then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to paste it here. And then let's see what it looks like now. Okay, so this JavaScript does not work simply because we didn't install preline UI. So I'll just install preline UI here very quickly. So I'll just say npm install preline. Okay, so that one is done. And then the next step, let's go here and see on the framework guides. Let's go to Laravel and let's see this one because we've already installed it. So the next step is to add that one in our tailwind.css. I mean in our tailwind.config.js here. And then we also need to add the plugin in plugins here. The next step is to add this one in this need to go to app.js. So let's go to app.js. Okay, as you can see, this one is used to start your app.js, and then you need to add this one in your the layout. So basically, if you have installed the Breeze, that one will be added automatically. So if you go to your layouts and see here, you can see this one is added automatically. So now if we go to our application and try to refresh it, now you can see, let's try to refresh. Okay, so that one is not done. That can be the cause. Line. Okay, now let's try to run npm run dev. Okay, so now let's see, then refresh. Okay, now you can see it is working fine. So now here we need to pass the language that we have, which are 3 of them. Let me call that one, and so this one, yep. So let me just delete some of them that we don't need it. Okay, so this one will be English, this one will be Swahili, and the last one will be French. Okay, so you can find the icons for them. As you can see now, the icons are not for the language basically. So you can find the, let's say, the icon for the flags of these languages, and maybe you can be able to add it here. Okay, so now what we need to do, adding your routes, that is the drop down that we've added. So let me just change this one. So instead of showing that one, I just say, okay, I want to get the app locale, so I just say app locale. I just say get locale. Okay. Now you can see the default locale now is English. So now if we try to change it to Swahili, okay, this does not change, even this one. Okay, and this one does not change. So this, let's see in our code here, so the controller. Okay, the middleware, this one. Okay, nothing changed. So I think the only reason that may rise here is how you have registered your middleware. So let me just go back to Bootstrap, then app.php here. So this one, oh, I think this one is an issue here. Let's try to append this in this way. Okay, let's try this way and try to optimize your project. And then now let's try to refresh the app. And now you can see automatically the language has been changed from English to French. Now you can see this is French. So now let's go back here and see. Okay, so this is dashboard. So this should be dashboard in order to match the key that we've defined in languages here. This one. Okay. Let's go back and try to refresh. Let's go to Swahili. Now you can see the language is changing. So now let's apply it to this one. And that one is found on a dashboard. So let's go to dashboard. Here, this one. That should be dashboard from messages. That's dashboard. This will apply the same way to this one. Okay. So now you can see all these have been changed to Swahili. Okay, you can even change these ones, so that is up to you. Okay, but the next thing here that we need to do, as I've said before, I want to show you how you can pass a parameter in on your strings. So to do that, let me go back here and show you how to do it. Let me just go to a language file, end of the language file. Let's say in English, let's go to messages, and then in a welcome here, we can just specify the name. So I'll just say, let's say name. Okay, and then we need to add this on both languages. So let's just call it, go here, add that one. Let's go to Swahili. Okay, so then how to show the name on your language, or I mean on your pages, it's by, let's go here, And then to show here the name, you can just use an array here. So we'll just say, okay, then show an array here with the key that you have used on your language file, and then here you can just pass the name of your user. So here, as we know, the name of our user will be found on user and then name. Okay, so now if we go back here and refresh, now you can see the name is shown here. So if we change to English, now you can see welcome, then name. If you go back to Swahili, you can see karibu, and then if you go to French, then you can see this way. So this is the best way that you can use to pass the parameters on your, let's say your language strings that you defines them in your language files here. Okay, so this was the first approach, basically, as I mentioned in my logs here. So we have add the method to set locale and save it in a cookie. So we've seen that one, that we set language in our cookies, and actually you can see in our controller and also in our middleware, we use cookies to set our application language. So now the second approach that I'm going to show you very quickly is to persist this language in our database. So to do that, the first thing that we need to do is to add the field in our users model. So let's go by creating the migration. So let's say php make migration. And then I'm going to say add locale to users table. So you can specify the table name here, but basically Laravel is a little bit smart, so it can know the table. So if I say enter, now you can see in our database here, migration, we can have this one, and you can see it automatically picks the users table. So that is how it is smart enough. So here I just say string, then I'll call it locale. Then you can limit its length to be, let's say, 5, and then by default the language will be English. Okay, so let's go here, and then here you can just say table, then you drop column if it exists. Okay, so if it exists, you can just drop it and then recreate it again. Okay, so after doing so, the next thing is to run a migration that we've created. So php migrate. So that one will add the locale variable or the locale column on our table. So let me just show you here. So let's go to our database. Now if you go to users, now you can see we have added the locale column, which is this one, and it is in default. So what I'm going to do, let me just minimize that one. So the next thing, we've also added the route. As you can see, we've already added that one. Okay, and this one is also done. We've updated the blade files to show the links. So here are the links that you can see, and I've said you can change these icons I'll just leave it them way like that way in order for you to understand what I'm trying to explain here. But you need to have the, let's say, flags here, so you can just add them in a minute. So that one is done. So now let's see on how we can persist this in our database. So by saying so, the next step that I'm going to do is to add a locale column in our table. That is done. Then update the middleware for setting locale in database. So to set the locale in database, let's update the locale, I mean the middleware. So let's go to our middleware, which is found in app, and that's HTTP, then middleware. Then this one, this approach was setting a locale using the cookie. So now what we need to do is to check from the logged in user, simply because now we'll be storing the application locale in our database. So, and it will be specific for each user. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to comment that one, and then what we need to do, we need to get the locale from the logged in user. Okay, and then we can just check if the user is logged in. So if the user is logged in, what we can do, we can just say we can get the locale. Okay, and if the user is not logged in, what we can do, we can just get the default app .locale, which is a default language for our user. So don't worry about these errors. These are just errors that are being shown by the interface, that is the extension. So that are not errors in our application. So then the next thing is to set our app locale. So you need to redo this one here. So let me just comment this one, and then you can see this one will be set here. So now what we do here, we just create this variable, but this variable will be assigned by checking if the user is logged in. But if the user is logged in, we can get the locale from the database, from the user I mean. So from database we'll get that locale, and then we will assign it here. After assigning it here, then we will use to set our application locale by using this helper function. So if the user is not logged in, then we are going to use the default app locale of our application. So that is all about updating the middleware. So remember, this is for the cookie and this one is for the database. So all of this code, you will find it in my GitHub repository. So I'll leave it like this way. And then we've updated our middleware. Now we need to update the method in our database, I mean in a controller, so that we can be able to update the language in our database. So to do so, let's go to our database, I mean the controller. So let's go to the controller, which is this one. And then what we need to do, this will do this check simply because for the validation, so that unwanted language cannot be used here. So what we need to change here is just this one. So what we need to do, we just need to perform this functionality. So let's remove this one, and then we can just say request, then user. So the request from the user that has been logged in, we can just update. Then you can specify the column that you are going to update in your database, which is locale, and then we're going to update it with the locale value that is coming from here. So this one works fine. And then what we need to do next is to try out our functionality if it works fine. So now we've done that one, that's okay. Now let's try to go back here in our application, Now let's refresh. Okay, call to undefined the function of check. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this one says it's undefined. Okay, let me just use the normal function. So I just say auth, then check, and then also here I'm going to use the same way. Okay. And now let's try to refresh. Okay, now it is working fine. Now let's change this one to Swahili. Okay, so this one is not working. Now let's see what can be the issue here. Okay, let's see what can be the issue here. As in our middleware here, we're just checking the user. When sending the request, then you are going to get the locale. Okay, and then this one is fine. Okay, I think we need to return the redirect user. Okay. So now we can just even check here if the user is logged in. So we can just say if request user. Now if we refresh, now let's change it to Swahili, French. Okay, this one is not working. So now we can try to see if the locale is coming. So let's see. Try to refresh. Then Swahili. Okay, the Swahili is coming. So what happens? Okay. Now if we go to our database, now let's see if the language has been updated. So this is not updated. Why so? Okay. Okay, so let's see why it is not changing here. Okay. Now let's go to English. Nothing happens. If you go to database and update this one, let's say to French, and if you refresh, this is changing. So the main cause of this may either be, I think it will be the model. Let's go to our model and see. Yeah, I think because we didn't add here the locale for master assignment, so I think that one is the cause of this. So let's try to optimize. Okay, now let's try again. Now let's change it to English. Now it is changing. Yeah, so we did it. Yeah, so this is how actually we do it, and this is how actually you update this one to different languages. As you can see, this is Swahili. So You can just even update all of this data. So let me just update this string. So let me just try to update the language file. Let's say in our messages here, I'll just say welcome back, and then let's go back to Swahili. Here we can say karibu tena, then the name of our user. Okay, and then if you go to French, don't know how to say welcome back, so let's go here and copy this one and see the translation for that one. French. Okay, so for the French it is this way, so let's just paste it there, and then let's go back to application. Now let's try to refresh. Now you can see karibu tena. Let's go to English, welcome back, then the name of our user. Go to French. Now you can see this is in French. So that is how we do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, you have learned something new. So I just say thank you for your time, thank you for you listening to me, and I really appreciate your support. So please, guys, like my videos, share my videos with people out there. So that is how you support me. So thank you. If you are not subscribed to my channel, consider to subscribe, and let me see you on the next video. See you.